Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros. I talk about politics, sports, and entertainment to keep you well-rounded what's going on around the world. If you don't like hearing the truth, definitely don't tune into this channel. So let's get started today. So after the assault in Cincinnati, the police chief gives an update, and she blames the bartenders who served the people that committed assault. Now leave it to someone woke like herself to blame the bar, liquor, the bartenders, instead of the assailants. Now, before I jump into the video, there's been another video going around where the white guy slapped the man in the face. And let's just say that's true. Let's say that the white guy slapped that man in the face. And let's say hypothetically, the man that he slapped punched him and knocked him out. Would anybody even be talking about this? Would that have even been wrong? No, it wouldn't have been wrong because he started it. But then you think that response to have is for 10 or 12 people to jump the man in the middle of the street with his wife. They knocked his wife out cold in the street, kicked her in the face a couple times, kicked people in the face who were trying to just break it up and be peacekeepers. And you don't think this is an overreaction? You think this is normal? You think that's the way to handle something like that? You're a big tough guy, right? You're a big gangster, big tough guy. But it takes 10 or 12 of you to fight a 65-year-old white man and his wife, and you beat them to death in the middle of the street, and people are justifying this behavior. Oh, well, you shouldn't put your hands on some. Are you joking? Do you watch social media, what goes on? Because I know if the roles were reversed and somebody slapped somebody and then 15 to 20 white people jumped on that person and beat them to death, this would be on every major news station in America. This reaction to this is total overkill. Again, if the guy that he slapped knocked him out, I would be like, you know what? You shouldn't put your hands on him. But you think that it's okay for 10 or 15-year friends to jump him and his wife over a slap? And you sit there and you justify it? I mean, give me an effing break. Let's jump into the video.
I want to take a minute to give you guys an overview of the incident from the weekend. First of all, I think it's very important that everybody understands we had well over 150,000 people in the downtown area this weekend. We had a major Big Three basketball tournament at the arena. We had a Reds game with large crowds, and we had the Cincinnati Music Festival. Wonderful, wonderful events for this city and all the people who attended it.
Okay, so what? What does it have to do with a gang assault in the middle of the street? Nothing. Don't you love being preached to by idiots like this? It has nothing to do with it. You had an incident that was so far over the top and such extreme violence over a slap. And then you want to preach to us, oh, well, my city's safe. We had basketball and that was fine. Well, you had another incident that wasn't fine. And now you're making excuses for it.
Unfortunately, we had one incident late Friday night into Saturday morning that is getting all the attention and undoing the good.
You know, it's so funny. We only had one incident. And you know what? The victims were white, so who gives a shit? That's what she's really trying to tell you. Because if it was any other way, oh my God, the world would be on fire right now.
Stuff that happened this weekend. That's the incident that you're well aware of that occurred at 4th and Elm. I, like many, woke up Saturday morning to the video. The incident occurred. We got our first call at 3:06 a.m. First officers were on the scene at 3:12 a.m. Based on the body cam footage that I've watched, that response time is completely acceptable because the downtown area still had traffic congestion from all of the events. Upon arrival, the fight was over with. The fight was over with when the officers arrived. And the majority of the participants were gone. The officers did exactly what they are trained to do. They gathered information from the victims that were still at the scene.
Nobody's blaming the officers. They're blaming your pathetic, disgusting response to the incident, blaming bartenders and beer instead of a certain mentality that it's overkill.
To complete an offense report. I will tell you, at this time, we have victims and suspects identified, and we have charged 5 people in this offense.
Okay, so they charged 5 people already. So no matter what anybody says at this point, it was 5-on-2. And they're looking for more suspects. So that means the number's probably like 10 to 15 on 2 people. And fine, let's just say 100%, the white guy started it by slapping somebody. A 65-year-old, 70-year-old man. You really think that he needed to be beat by whether it was 5, 10, or 15 people? You think that's acceptable? If you do, you're just a piece of garbage.
I'm not going to release that information to you. I will say, if individuals were down there and participated in this event, it would be in their best interest to come turn themselves in at one of our...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're so scared of you when you let them out on $400 bond, and they already have 6 felonies, and they're out on bond already for other felonies. Oh, they're just shaking in their boots that they're going to have to pay a $300 bail. You know, Democrats... You wonder why every single liberal city, New York is not safe, Chicago's not safe, Miami's not safe, Los Angeles isn't safe. Gee, what do all these places have in common? You tell me.
Police districts. We have 5 we have charged and anticipate more. Let me be clear. Anyone who put their hands on another...
You know what she's indicating right now? That the white people, the other white people that came into the street that didn't punch anybody, that just went out there and tried to break it, they were like putting their hands out to stop it, and they got kicked in the face and stomped. You mark my words, they're going to be charged just so she could say, I charged everybody. I'm not picking on these poor black criminals that did this. I charged the white people too. You mark my words. It's absolutely pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But when you give people promotions for all the wrong reasons, this is the type of pathetic people that you get.
Individual during this incident in an attempt to cause harm will face consequences.
Right.
I don't care which side of the incident or the fight they were on.
There you go. You watch the video, and there's white people there that aren't throwing punches. They're just going like this. Please stop, please stop. You mark my words, they will be charged.
If they place their hands on somebody in an attempt to cause harm, that is unacceptable.
This lady's so full of shit.
This is still an open investigation, and all potential charges are being investigated for everyone involved. All investigative tools and techniques are on the table, including, were some of these individuals overserved at some local establishments?
Oh my God.
It is clear to us that alcohol played a significant part in this incident.
So now, according to this fake police chief, because that's what she is, the bars overserved the criminals. And it's the bar's fault. It's not the criminals who paid for the liquor and consumed it and then decided to, have mob vigilante justice and jump 2 old white people and beat them almost to death in the middle of the street, 10 or 15 of them. That was justified because somebody got slapped. Again, if the guy that got slapped punched the guy and knocked him out, I wouldn't even say anything. But this is what you get with wokeness. You get excuses, you get pandering, you get a garbage human being like this.
I want to thank every citizen who has come forward and provided us with information. Some of those tips have led to the charges being signed. However, for us to have 100 or so people down there involved in and or watching this event, recording with their cell phones, and for us to get only one phone call of this incident is unacceptable in this city. One.
Who is she preaching to? It's not the citizen's job to keep people safe. It's your job to keep people safe. So you should have had units down there before the fight even happened. You should have cameras up there before the fight even happened. But this is the typical Democrat liberal preaching to everybody how everybody else failed, but her or their party.
Person did the right thing and called 911. Another point I want to make about
I've never been a police officer a day in my life. I guarantee if they gave me this job tomorrow, I could do a 10,000 times better job that she could ever do in her entire life. I could make the city beyond safe. Zero common sense, zero intelligence. But hey, leave it to Joe Biden's hiring practices to improve the quality of life in America.
this. You have heard me for over a year now talk about holding our juveniles in this city accountable for their behavior and trying to hold their parents accountable for knowing how their kids are behaving. What should we expect from our youth if this is the kind of adult behavior that is setting an example for them?
I'm confused. Didn't you just blame the liquor for their behavior? But now you're saying their kids are acting like that because of the parents, but you blame the liquor. And what did juveniles got to do with the situation? Nothing. Like she'll do everything to deflect the actual problem. She didn't have police in the right places or enough of them on duty for a busy weekend. It was a busy weekend. All different things going on. They should have had every officer on the force working and in different places to have a better response time. But that means you would have to be intelligent and think, something that she obviously can't do.
That is unacceptable by the adults.
She keeps saying that is unacceptable. You know what's unacceptable? Your poor job performance, and you need to be fired.
In our community. Unacceptable. Another topic I want to cover real quick. Social media and journalism and the role it plays in this incident. And yes, guys, that's you. That is you.
Don't you love the preaching? It just continues. She's totally at fault for this, and she's blaming the media. She's preaching to everybody. She's talking to all of us like we're fifth graders. See, this is the typical liberal mindset.
Social media, the posts that we've seen, does not depict the entire incident. That is one version of what occurred. At times, social media and mainstream media and their commentaries are...
She's referring to Fox News, of course, right now, because Fox News is probably absolutely destroying her, and it's well-deserved. That's what she's really trying to say.
Representation of the circumstances surrounding any given event. What that does, that causes us some difficulties in thoroughly investigating the activity and enforcing the law. Because what happens, that social media post and your coverage of it distorts the content of what actually happened.
Here, distort this. Let's just say the white guy is 1,000% guilty. He started the fight. I'll give you that. He slapped a man. You think that justifies 10 or 15 people beating him and his wife to death in the middle of the street? Again, if one person beat up the white man or knocked him out, I don't think anybody would be saying anything. But hey, let's justify this behavior, right?
And it makes our job more difficult.
Yeah, okay.
My absolute gratitude for the investigators who came in on Saturday as soon as this video was posted and rolled their sleeves up and got to work. They have done an amazing amount of work in a short period of time. I want to look to the men and women. If you can see me or hear me now, I want to say thank you to the men and women of CPD. You made this weekend, outside of this one incident, an amazing success for this city.
You know what's so funny? She keeps saying, if it wasn't for this one incident, we had a great weekend. So let's just say hypothetically somebody got, unalived. Would that have been a great weekend, even though everything else went fine? That's part of being a police officer, keeping everybody safe. You can't say, oh, well, only one person almost lost. We only had one incident where almost 2 people lost their lives. But other than that, everything was great. Yeah. Did you see the guy's wife laying in the middle of the street? Did you see what her face looked like? Could you imagine if this role was reversed, where a black man in his 65, 70 years old slapped a white person and 20 white people jumped on him and his wife and knocked both of them out in the middle of the street? Could you imagine what would be coming out of her mouth right now? It would be white supremacy and Nazis, and every news station in the media would be going absolutely insane out of their minds. But instead, we're going to blame bartenders and liquor.
It is because of your hard work that we are able to have such large-scale events here in Cincinnati. And we will continue to do that because of the work that the police do.
I can't listen to her talk anymore. She's absolutely disgusting human being. I wouldn't expect anything different. I mean, she's just a joke. You know what? Don't get me started. It's just whatever. Listen, I said my piece. Total overkill. Again, if the white guy is, I'll give you that. Let the white man start it. You're in your 30s, 40s, whatever. The guy looks like he's 35 years old. You needed 10 to 15 of your other friends to handle a 65-year-old man and his wife? You're a big tough guy, right? I mean, he has multiple convictions for all types of things. He's been through the system. He's a big gangster, right? But he needs 15 friends to handle some old white man that can't keep his hands to himself. You're an absolute effing joke. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros.